right, peace to the family, peace to everybody out there. Thank you for your patience as usual. We are now getting started. What a day today, huh? All the earthquake talk. What a day today.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's I'm about to bring on family. I have a new guest. This brother's making his debut to the channel.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to get to a quick commercial. So let me get to this quick commercial first. Get comfortable, make sure you hit the like button. It still says 0. Can you hear me, family? It says 0 on my screen. 0 people watching. I just want to make. I see y'all in the chat though. Okay. Now it says okay. All right. I'm good now. All right. Let me get to this quick commercial, and we're gonna have a good time tonight, yo. We're gonna do some serious learning tonight. I mean, this brother is thorough. Thorough. So let me get to this quick commercial, and we'll be right back, family.
The legendary Professor James Smalls come to Atlanta, Georgia for 2 days. April 6th and April 7th. You don't want to miss it. He's doing a public and a private event. Text me right now at 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. The legendary Professor James Smalls, as you've seen him on Hidden Colors and all the rest of the documentaries. Make sure you go to my Linktree at Linktree/King Simon the Numerator. Professor James Smalls in Atlanta, April 6th and April 7th.
All right. And without further ado, family, I told y'all, family, I'm going to be inviting and new guest on the channel. I'm like a spiritual A&R, you know, and in the hip hop, they got the A&Rs. I'm like a spiritual A&R, and I got to find the best talent, the best speakers, the brothers with the sisters with the most wisdom out there, and bring it on this platform so they can present their information to the world. And something last year told me to reach out to this brother. But here we are today. I want to thank the brother for just doing what he got to do out there and staying on a high frequency. Without further ado, I want to welcome this brother for the first time, making his debut, my brother Sharif Bey. Welcome back, my brother. Well, welcome for the first time, my brother.
No doubt. Peace to the family, peace to the audience. You know, I'm honored to be here. I really am, brother. Your name definitely rings bells. Your platform, your audience, your following. You know, and so I'm just honored to be here, and I'm honored to be able to present, you know, my meager portion of the understanding, you know, with you, with your audience, bro.
All right. While we let the people know exactly, tell the people a little bit about yourself, and then we're gonna get started, brother. About 2 minutes, just tell the people who you are and what you do, my brother.
Absolutely. My name is Brother Sharif Anael Bey. I am just your brother, but you know, I'm a martial artist. I'm a lifelong martial artist. That's what I do professionally. I do that full time. A part of our martial arts tradition also includes healing. So with Chinese medicine and also with human bioenergetics. So we both teach and we also treat people. You know, that's also a part of our martial arts tradition. I'm known more so in the community from the Moorish paradigm. I'm a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated under the leadership of Brother R. Jones Bey and his assistant, Brother A. Hopkins Bey. I am the local Grand Sheik of a temple in Syracuse, New York. That's where I'm located, Syracuse, New York. Some of you may know me from my good brother Sinetta's platform back in 2016 with the debate with Brother Reggie in Harlem, New York at the National Black Theater. In addition to those things and some of the things that you may not know, I've been and through, you know, my studies in the Moorish Science Temple of America, and then before that, Fopsin Nation. I came up in the Fopsin Nation, and also the Nation of Islam. I did first and second grade actually in Muhammad's University of Islam at Mosque 27 in Los Angeles, California, before my family moved east to New York. But those studies, you know, led me in other directions, as they should. And as a result, I've been accepted years ago into a number of very deep and august esoteric and occult bodies, and learned some interesting things. And so a lot of those things I'm going to share, or a number of those things I want to share with you all today.
Indeed, and that's what when I tell you, I seen you for the first time last year on Red Pill's channel.
Yes.
Red Pill was interviewing you, and I was like really impressed by your presentation. So I know you get into the esoteric and the metaphysical information. So well-rounded. This is one of the brothers' family that he's not just a YouTube scholar watching videos. Like, he was in the field doing the work, and he's in them books, them libraries, them societies. Like he done got access to some shit. So we about to have a great conversation. Before we do, brother, I gotta ask you, brother, what's your thoughts on? I guess I could say, because so many people are talking about this paradigm shift that we are experiencing in the world today, going to the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces, and these times were predicted. When you hear about the earthquakes happening today, knowing that the eclipse is happening on Monday, from what you know of what you studied, just real quick, what's your understanding? What's your thoughts on what's happening right now in this world?
Many of us, of course, are even those of us in the that are conscious to various degrees are still groping in the dark on a number of things. We are, because it just is what it is. That being said, though, when you understand, or at least grasp or at least can consider the possibility that everything that you see physical is a shadow of something happening on a higher vibration, right? Then when you see earthquakes and you see, and then the earthquake just happens to have, and I'm saying happens as sarcastically, happens to be 4.8 on the Richter scale. And then, we have an upcoming event happening on the 8th in the 4th month, right? When you start to see these things and you start to at least pay attention to synchronicities, at least your ears perk up. You're like, okay, wait a minute. There's some significance to this. Even if I don't fully understand the significance, at least now I'm paying attention.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so, we're experiencing the shift in the general sense. I'm being general, is an amplifying of vibration. The vibration. So we're talking about ascension. It's not altitude, it's amplitude. That's what it is. You see what I'm saying? And so the vibration is raising. Right. And that unsettles things. It just unsettles things. It even unsettles us that are looking for the higher vibration. Why? Because we're accustomed to the lower vibration. You see what I'm saying? So it unsettles us too. And now remember, without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. Without resistance, there is no strength building. There is no learning. You see what I'm saying? So it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. You see? And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but a big part of the authentic tradition is to educate us in how we see things and how we think. We've been educated in the Western paradigm, in the Euro-Western paradigm, to run from the Frankenstein monster. But here's the funny part in that story. The monster ain't Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the name of the doctor that made the monster. You see what I'm saying? And so what did he do? He made the monster and then ran from him the rest of the movie, right? Man, we're learning, that's like, think about it. If you lift weights or you want to get stronger by lifting weights, you don't run from the weights. You submit yourself to them and you get up under them and then you conquer them. That's what you do. So we're learning either swiftly or being dragged to the fact that we eat our demons. How about that? You see what I'm saying? That's what we do. We eat our demons. See, because every victory over lower self brings added strength, which means you got to go to it.
Sir. Yes, sir.
See what I'm saying? You got to go to it.
You talking strong, Sharif. You talking strong.
Yes, sir.
They said that's how you was talking in that debate years ago, man. They said you was strong in that debate years ago, my brother. But listen, family, the brother has an amazing presentation that he put together. And I'm going to share it with you right now. Let me make sure we're going to get this thing right. I guess toward the end of the presentation, I'll take some Q&A from y'all. I'm going to get the brother on again. So, we're going to be kicking it. 2024 is an important year. Me and the brother's going to be kicking it. Try to have this brother on as a regular guest. I got a good feeling y'all going to really, really enjoy this tonight. So if you have a friend, let me make sure y'all can see it. Yeah, if you have a friend that might benefit from this, call them, text them now, tell them to tune in, because this is going to be a hell of a presentation. My brother Sharif, I'm gonna pass it to you. Yes, I'm the point guard of the gods, so I'm I'm passing you the ball right now. The God Sharif. What you shooting guard or forward or the center? Which position are you, brother?
I'm a shooter, brother. I'm a shooter.
All right, shooting guard tonight. All right, brother. I'm passing the ball to you, my brother. But go ahead. The Reincarnated Atlanteans prepared by Sharif Anael Bay. Go ahead, my brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So listen, first and foremost, let me tell your audience, I ain't come up with that. I did not come up with that title. Your brother Rich, came up with that title. But it was after a brief conversation he and I had about some of the things I was going to present. Indeed. But it is a fit title. The Reincarnated Atlanteans. The title itself presumes a number of things. First and foremost, here it is. And again, a part of secret orderism, right? You know, these things I'm speaking from the perspective of the inner orders. All right. If man reincarnates, follow the bouncing ball. What does that say about man? When I say man, I mean humanity, men and women, right?
Right.
If we reincarnate, what does it mean? There's a couple things that it presumes. One is that you don't die. Let's start with that one. Okay. Man can't die. Man's eternal. See, it's one for us to say that man and God are one. Man and Allah are one, sure. Okay. Or we'll say that man is God. That's fine, but what is man? See? So if man reincarnates, that means the real you, the true you, the permanent you, the more permanent you are, the less physical you are. We've been taught backwards.
Indeed.
That the more physical, the more corporeal, the more real. That's backwards. That's backwards. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we can do a little exercise. Matter of fact, let's do the exercise right now. All right. Wherever you are right now, wherever you are, say out loud the words, the Reincarnated Atlanteans.
The Reincarnated Atlanteans.
Cool. Now, I want you to say the same words in your head. Go. Here's my first question. Did you hear yourself?
I did.
Okay, but how? When no sound was made and no ears were there to hear it. Let's start with that. Here's the second question. Here's the second question. Who was doing the speaking and who was doing the listening?
Woo-wee. There you go.
Okay. See, there's your proof, people, that there's a part of you that has nothing to do with the physical body. It's just in the flesh. See that? And it has nothing to do with your five senses. Nothing. See, when we say, like in religious doctrine, when they say God is one, it's misinterpreted in the West because of the way we're taught to think. God is one God. There's only one God. That's not true. See? The real way it's said is not there's only one God. It's God is one. One, meaning beyond duality. That is why we say God is almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. Why do we say that? Because your five senses depend on duality to work. When there's no duality, your five senses fall apart. But just because we say you can't comprehend it doesn't mean you can't experience it. Because we experience it every day we open our eyes. You just experienced it right now with that little exercise. See what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So rediscovering hidden ancient technologies and science under the title Old Time Religion. Our elders knew some things. When I say our elders, I'm talking about our grandfathers and great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers. They knew some things. They knew some things, you know, but a lot of times they did not openly speak to these things because they still felt the persecution from previous lifetimes. We're going to talk about that piece of history. All right. We're going to talk about that as well. Let's go to the next slide.
All right. Give me 1 second, brother. What I got to do here?
Yes, sir. And also, too, you all see some of the graphics here. Please ask whatever questions you have about the graphics as well. They're there for a purpose. It's not just decoration. All right, next slide. Here we go. Here we go. I want to first introduce you to an interesting cast of characters. Brother Rich, you know who that man on the left is, don't you?
Yes.
But I bet you never saw that picture, have you?
No, not that one. No.
Right. That is our good brother, Pascal Beverly Randolph. Pascal Beverly Randolph was the first publicly known Rosicrucian in America. The very first publicly known Rosicrucian in America. He was one of 3 grandmasters of an order called the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light. The other 2's their names were Paulus Metamon. Paulus Metamon was an Egyptian Coptic priest. The other was a Polish Jew who lived in North Africa, in Algeria. His name was Louis Maximilian Bimstein, also known as Max Theon. These 3 were the leaders of the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. Now, then came 2 Germans by the name of Karl Kellner and Theodor Reuss. Those 2 were the founders of an order called the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis, which was literally a continuation of the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light. Now, I want to say this one thing about Pascal Beverly Randolph. There's a ton of things I could say about him. We could do a whole show just about him. But one of the things I want to say about him is this. The European Western magical revival owes some of their deepest secrets to this man. And this is well known in the occult circles. Well known. Now you all know, I'm pretty sure you all know, Brother P.B. Randolph had an Asiatic or a brown-skinned father and a European or pale-skinned mother. And in those days, mulatto was basically a Negro, quote unquote. So, there's that. He died in 1875, right? So anyway, let's go further. Because again, there's so much meat here. I could get stuck on just one slide for a while. Yeah. So Karl Keller and Theodore Reuss started the OTO, which is a continuation of the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light. In 1902, the OTO absorbed Egyptian Rite Freemasonry, those degrees, 96 degrees, ancient and primitive rite of Memphis and Mizraim. We know that Memphis was a city in ancient Egypt, and Mizraim was the old Hebrew or Aramaic name for Egypt. All right. And then also, too, it absorbed the Rosicrucian work from William Westcott. Then later, there comes a man by the name of Lucien Francois Jean Maine. He was a Haitian brother who received the Spanish version of the ancient and primitive rite of Memphis Mizraim from Paul Pierre de Moraga, right? That's out of Spain. That's interesting. And he also incorporated his family's tradition of Vodun and also to Martinism, right? And his family founded the Order of the Black Snake. All right. Again, his family's Vodun tradition stemmed back to Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution. He passed on the successorship of the orders to his son, Hector Francois Jean Maine, and then who passed it to the European whose picture you see on the right, Michael Berdio. Michael Berdio was initiated during the years 1953 and 1975 in Haiti. Okay.
In Haiti. So the white dude was initiated in Haiti.
I'm sorry, say it again, brother.
So this white dude on the right was initiated in Haiti. Okay.
Actual
right.
fact.
Okay.
Actual fact. That's a fact.
Yes.
And Brother Rich, jump in at any, your audience. So jump in at any time, brother, please.
Indeed.
All right. And then see, he is the present Grand Hierophant Conservator of the OTOA and also two of our branch of the Rite of Memphis Mizraim. He incorporated the Monastery of Seven Rays, which comes out of an aesthetic group in South America. And he incorporated that as the 4-year initiation body for the OTOA. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay, you see it?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is significant. This page to the right comes out of one of the major literary works of Michael Berdio. It's called the Vodun Gnostic Workbook. You could find it. You could find it online. You could find it's a huge volume. It's You want to talk about going down the rabbit hole? You're going down the rabbit hole with this book. For real, for real.
Right.
But I will say this, that a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of people that have the book and couldn't really make heads or tails of the book, right? Remember I had mentioned that the order absorbed the Monastery of the Seven Rays, which is a 4-year initiatory body.
Right.
So the Voodoo Gnostic workbook is considered 5th-year monastery work. That's why they have issues. All right. So Michael Bertio and Mark Lully moved the headquarters from Haiti to Chicago in 1966. The purpose of the move was to more, and I'm telling you what they say,
right,
was to more accurately attract the return of the reincarnating ancient Atlantean priesthood that, according to Bertio, are now reincarnating in America in the bodies of African and mixed African European descent. If you look at the page, you can see what he says right there. He says, many magicians were coming into African bodies or bodies of an African and European mixture in order to carry on the work of our order and to help their race move towards greater enlightenment. I assume that many of our brothers are coming into African bodies since the African race has been chosen by the Mahatmas as the Vahan of the Buddha. In other words, as the incarnation of the Buddha current. Students probably will be brought into the world within the African racial context or some mixture, and they will be born nearby the areas where temple work had and has been done systematically. So that was their purpose of moving to the south side of Chicago, where he still is today in Hyde Park, in the Hyde Park area. Contrary, and this is to answer a question that you had, brother, when we first talked. Contrary to what's called Victorian OTO, Crowleyan OTO, right? The primary objective of the OTOA-LCN is to preserve and perpetuate what it calls the Afro-Atlantean current and to broadcast this current into the iconosphere to attract the old Atlantean priesthood to continue their previous work.
Some powerful shit there, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next slide. Next slide.
All right. This is good already, right, family? I know y'all enjoying this. All right. Okay. All right. Can you see it?
Got it. Thank you, brother. You guys see that picture?
Yeah.
That thing was made in the 1200s.
Whew.
Right. But it's going to get interesting. That is a geomantic device. That's what it is. It's an actual machine. Look at the title of the slide, Metaphysics. And see, so there's, I'll just say it. I'll say it. In many respects, by introducing your audience to these principles in this way, they are undergoing initiation as we speak. So that title, Metaphysics as Philosophy and Philosophy as Technological Blueprints. That machine is a result of that statement. Remember, people, like it or not, because we talk about how the European, miseducated us, right? But then we'll accept the European view on religion. You see what I'm saying? Not pro, but con. So follow me, right? The pyramids were built on what was called in those days religious knowledge. See? The priesthood kept the secrets. We're going to talk about it. We're going to definitely talk about it, right? So the whole separation of science and religion is a Euro-Western concept. And why? Because we know what took place in the Nicene Council in 325 AD with Emperor Constantine, what they did with the teachings of Jesus. They flipped and bounced it, chopped and screwed it, and here we go, right? You know that they did the same thing with science? It's the truth. They did the same thing with science. Okay, here we go. Now, if you could see, I don't know if you could see on the far left of the screen or of the slide, there's the dials on this machine have certain symbols. And these symbols might be a little familiar to some of you. Let's go to the next slide.
You see it?
Next slide. Nope, it's not up yet.
No, I'll put it up.
There it is.
Yeah.
Does any of this look familiar to any of our brothers and sisters out there? Look at the symbols on the bottom left.
Yeah.
That's Epha, people.
Yeah.
Those are the Odu from Epha, from the Epha system. You mean to tell me that we were previously looking at a machine made in the 13th century utilizing Epha?
That family. If I had a bomb, I would drop a bomb on that one. Wow. Okay, let's go.
The science is called Ilm al-Ramal, which means the science of the sand. It's a West African Islamic geomantic application of Epha, based on a base 16 mathematical format, or a 4-squared mathematical format, allowing for 4 to the 4th power, or 65,536 possibilities. I don't know if you all knew this, but there's white paper on this that you can look up for yourself. It was the passing or the transmission of Epha to Europeans that made it possible for quantum computing to be invented. That's a fact. You could literally, there's numbers of scientific papers written on this. Absolutely. So you're looking at the root of today's modern quantum computing.
This is Epha.
That's right. Now, before let's talk about that for a second. Yeah, but that's Islamic, brother. Sure is. Islamic and African. Absolutely. And the mere fact that it exists throws a major rock at the whole misconception that Islam was used as a tool to conquer Africa. Nah. And that's another show in and of itself. But let's just put this out there as a matter of actual fact world history. The European West wasn't and isn't, because to this day it still is. There's still an issue. The European West wasn't so much scared of Islam during the medieval era. And they weren't so much scared of Africans in the medieval era. They were scared of Africans with Islam in the medieval era. Why? Because in world history, it was Islam that united Africa. And that's just the historical fact. That's just world history, people. That's just world history. And Arabs, the word Arab does not mean it's not as it's looked at today. Arabs are not a distinct race or group of people. They're not. The word Arab is a language group. Anyone who speaks. Matter of fact, do me a favor real quick, brother Rich, if you're able to do so on your phone. I want you to go to Google. Matter of fact, I'm going to have everybody do it. Go to Google, and I want you to put in the search engine the present day Saudi Arabian executioner, the royal executioner for Saudi Arabia, and go under images so you can see what he looks like. Y'all got there? Let me know when you do.
So you said type in the royal execution of Saudi Arabia.
Yes. The present royal executioner. Anybody in the audience done it? If you have, write what you see.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Somebody said a black man.
He looks like my Uncle Juju. And he's a pure Arab, people. He's a pure Arab. He's a pure Arab.
Very interesting.
Yes. See, the big secret isn't so much as information being withheld. The big secret is that you've been given a foreign narrative. In other words, it's not what you're thinking about, it's how you're thinking about it. That is the secret. Narrative is the secret, people.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody controls the parameter of how you think. It doesn't matter what you think. You're going to think about it the way in which they want you to think about it. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next slide. Everybody get this book, please. The book is not expensive. Get the book. It's going to change your life. But it's not easy reading. And I'm going to tell you why it's not easy reading. It's not easy reading because it's going to challenge your narrative. It's going to challenge your paradigm. Okay? What you were looking at, that device that was made in the 13th century, in modern time, it would be called a radionic or a psychotronic device. What is it, radionics or psychotronics? It is a machine or some type of device, even artwork, that as part of its working component is human consciousness. See? The Nation of Islam's Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about how the European put our people to sleep. We have actual historical evidence to this fact. The emergence of Western psychology speaks to it. You all have heard the term cogito ergo sum in Latin. I think, therefore I am. That came from Descartes, who was trying to prove to the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England, that the soul existed. But they were under the mindset at that time that if it's not physical, if you can't touch, taste, hear, smell, or feel it, it doesn't exist. Now, that exercise that we did earlier, people, you all have drunk the Kool-Aid already. See? You already drunk the Kool-Aid. So you know that the whole notion that if you can't touch, taste, smell, hear, or feel it means it doesn't exist. You know that's nonsense now. Yeah, that's called scientism. That's what the European did to kill science.
Let me ask you, Sharif, before you continue. Now, you just mentioned the Nation of Islam. Now, is there any similarities between radionics and Dianetics? And is that why?
Oh, not at all. Well, I take that back. Yes,
you get what I'm saying, right? Yeah,
yes, there is. Now, now, Dianetics is just the name of a doctrine within the Church of Scientology. Yeah. Radionics is actual technology. Okay. Now, that being said, let's talk about L. Ron Hubbard for a quick second. L. Ron Hubbard was a former member of the OTO. He's what the OTO calls a failed magician.
Ooh.
No, actual fact. I'm speaking as an insider when I say this. I have to keep that. I have to remind you all. I'm speaking as an insider. The OTO, right, considers him a failed magician. Okay. But he was working. Now, how did he get big? How did he make his name? He was working with his partner, who was also a member of the OTO, right? Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons worked with the OTO, was a magician in the OTO, but he was also a scientist with Jet Propulsion's laboratory. So long story short, L. Ron Hubbard basically utilized the skill and abilities of Jack Parsons to create what he created. Okay. All right. Now, they make now one of the things that they do, I'll say this, one of the things when they do I forgot what it's called, auditing. And they have this little contraption. You got to hold the ends of it, whatever. Oh, that's a radionics machine. That's a fact.
That's why I asked that question. Right. Okay.
Yes, sir. That's a radionics machine. Yes. Sir.
All right.
All right. So, again, in the slide, physical, mechanical, and symbolic machines used initially in the West for medical purposes. So, again, get the book. This slide by itself is a 2-hour show or longer, for real. It really is.
Okay.
Then its use is expanded to crop pest control and things like that. studied, developed, and utilized in top secret special access programs by private corporations and military industry to this day. Okay? Especially speaking about radionics as it relates to medical developments, is dangerous information. That's the type of information that'll get you unalived. I just have to say that. All right. Vigorously suppressed in the public by the establishment, but guess what? Preserved in certain old secret orders. Brother, remember in our previous conversation privately, we were talking about the Gnostic tradition that came out of Spain?
Right.
And how that's a part of our order. The Gnostic tradition that came out of Spain preserved, in the order that we have, preserved what we call magical machines, which are old radionics. It's old radionics technology.
Okay.
All right, next slide.
All right.
These images are old, ancient radionics machines and diagrams. That's what these images are. They're actually from my own personal notes. That's what they are. This stuff is ancient, people. Ancient, ancient, ancient. But remember, here it is. In the West, we have been conditioned and socialized into removing human consciousness as a tool in the scientific observation of phenomena. We're told we can't do that. Our forefathers didn't do that. Our forefathers knew that human consciousness was the premier tool for scientific investigation. Here's something very simple, but I want you all to think about it. The only things, if you're going to measure something physical, or you're going to analyze or observe something physical, the tools that you use must be physical. Makes sense, right? Well, if we're talking about something that's beyond light speed, see, now we're talking scalar technology. We're talking Tesla stuff.
Right.
Scalar waves. That's faster than light. Well, the only tool that you have that is capable of observing or analyzing faster than light phenomena is human consciousness. This is what we mean by he put us to sleep. See? We're about to prove it to you. Next slide.
Okay. It's getting good, right, family? Buckle your safety belts. All right. Okay, here we go.
All right. You all have heard that. This was written, in the temple, the Egyptian temple in Heliopolis. Man, know thyself.
Know thyself, yes.
Science from self-study, people. Familiarize yourself with this term, Compton radius vortex. Okay, back in 1895, two European initiates of Egyptian Rite Freemasonry, which means it came, whose science was it? Whose science is it? All right, we already know. Okay, so these two individuals, Annie Besant and C.W. Ledbetter, get their books, by the way. Annie Besant and C.W. Ledbetter embarked in 1895 on a series of clairvoyant explorations. Clairvoyant explorations. And they discovered, quote unquote, a particle that they called a subatomic particle that they called the Anu.
Anu.
Yes.
Wow.
In the 1990s. In the 1990s, right? The Compton radius vortex of an electron was discovered. And you're looking at it on the right of the screen. But guess what? What you're looking at on the right of the screen
is your heart?
Were the drawings of C.W. Ledbetter and Annie Besant. They clairvoyantly saw what scientists in the 90s later saw with electron microscopes.
Damn.
Actual fact. Actual fact. Now, here's the deepest part about this, people. The Compton radius vortex is the smallest state of matter that can exist in 3 dimensions. Its vibration rate is just low enough to maintain mass. Okay. It's connected through a ring singularity to a classical radius black hole in exotic space-time. What does that mean? It's a wormhole. You are literally looking at the borderland between 3 dimensions and higher dimensions. You're looking at it. It connects ordinary 3-dimensional space-time with exotic space-time or higher dimensions. That's what it is. See, one of the cool things about quantum mechanics is that it is verifying ancient wisdom as being cutting-edge science. Next slide.
All right.
Huh, looks similar? Yo, listen.
I love this. I love this stuff, man. I love it. I knew you was going this direction, man. I love this. Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Cutting edge biological science now recognizes the fact that the heart is not a pump, it's a vortex. It creates a vortex with the blood. Mm-hmm. And charged fluid, okay? Moving charged fluid through a vortex creates energetic fields. That's what it does. That's what it does. In the Vedas, you know, the Hindu text of the Vedas or the Avesta, right? The Avesta, I believe it is. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard of this. There are detailed technological descriptions of craft that fly in the air, fly in space, and fly underwater. They're called Vimana. Mm-hmm. Okay. Even down to the propulsion system they describe. Guess what it is? A mercury vortex propulsion system that creates a field around the craft that defies gravity. Electrogravitics. Yeah. So this technology is thousands of years old. Mm-hmm. All right. So in this slide, fluid flow dynamics indicates that the heart is not a propulsion pump. It is the negative charge halo around the red blood cells, which repel each other, and in a tube, like your blood vessels, create perpetual motion. This negative charge causes flow. The heart assists through suction, pulling the blood up and vortexing it out, which gives more energy to continue flowing after it leaves the chambers. There are about 50 smaller vortices inside the heart that are attached, connected energetically to different body organs. All of these processes generate the magnetic field around the body. In other words, the human heart functions as a multi-dimensional interface, just like the Compton radius vortex.
I love it.
The reference, get the book, The Heart is Not a Pump by Dr. Thomas Cowan, MD. Y'all ready to go deeper? Next slide.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This might be the presentation of the year right here, y'all. I'm serious. Go ahead, brother.
Next slide, bro. There it is. Woo.
Yeah.
Now we get even deeper. You all have heard of we've all heard of, because people have been talking about it. Monoatomic monoatomic gold, right?
Yes.
Orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. All right. So there's another science term called a Bose-Einstein condensate, or BEC. Bose-Einstein condensate is considered a fifth state of matter. Just like the Compton radius vortex, it's a mini wormhole or portal between dimensions. It generates what's called a Meissner field. This is dope. Mm-hmm. Okay? A Meissner field repels magnetic fields, so it can't be analyzed by a magnetic field. And it facilitates what's called quantum entanglement. Let me explain what that is. Anybody who practices real ritual magic is going to have a field day with what I'm about to tell you. Here we go. Quantum entanglement is this. You've got two atoms where I am. You got an atom, this one atom where I am, and another atom where Brother Rich is, right? Huge distance between us, but they're quantum entangled, right? Mm-hmm. Which means means that whatever I do to this one happens instantaneously to the other. No time distance lag. It's as if they're the same thing.
Right.
Okay. That's called quantum entanglement. Now, that is exactly what the magical circle is when, for those that practice ritual magic. It does the exact same thing. It connects you to every point in space and time.
What's the magical circle you're referring to?
The purpose of a magical circle for those that practice ritual magic is that the circle ideally is to create what's called a field of operations, a Meissner field, where quantum entanglement is possible, meaning the operator now has access to every point in space in time instantaneously.
You mean when drawing a circle during ritual work?
Yes. Yes.
You know what's funny, Sharif? Last time I did that. All right, so I was doing a show with Red and Blue Pill.
Yes, sir.
And Blue Pill's mic wasn't working. And it wasn't working for about the first 7 minutes.
Yes.
So I said, all right. I said, all right. Let me do some magic, y'all. So Blue Pill always talks about the number 44. So I drew a circle and I wrote the number 44 in the circle, and I said I could do magic. And then I pictured Blue Pill's mic working. And no lie, brother, I can show you the video. His mic started working within a tenth of a second. Right after I said that.
That's how it works.
I said, what the fuck? I said, yo, did y'all see that? I said, did y'all see that? Y'all was hype as a mother. I was hyped, bro.
Yo,
that's crazy you said that.
It's real. And we're going to talk about what you just did. We're going to talk about that in this presentation as well. Yeah. Okay. Now let's skip down to orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. Yeah. It must form, in other words, hold on, let's take gold, right? Gold, why does metal feel the way it feels? Why does water feel the way it feels? Why does wood feel the way it feels? Why? Because their bonds, their bonds at the atomic level are bonded in such a way that it's a particular type of bond. Okay. So gold is a metal in its ordinary state. Now, if we subject those gold atoms to a high energy state for a prolonged period of time, the nucleus starts to rotate very fast, and it begins to elongate like a cat's iris. When that happens, all of the electrons begin to rotate in the exact same direction. When that happens, the metal to metal bonds fall apart. And what do you end up with? You end up with gold, but it's a powder now, not a metal. See? That's what that is. But other interesting things happen when that happens, right? One, it forms a Bose-Einstein condensate, meaning that gold now becomes what? Mini wormhole, right? Because it opens a doorway. Quantum coherence, in other words, generates a Meissner field. So that means anything inside the Meissner field, there's no time or space barrier with it and any other thing in any other Meissner field. This is quantum physics, people. It sounds like magic, which it is, but it's quantum physics. All right. Room temperature superconductivity straddles dimensions. In other words, like I said, it's a wormhole, right? And then physical scaffolding for consciousness and biologic information communication. That's deep. We're going to get into that. All right. But here's the deepest part for me that's so crazy. Did you all know that these orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements, that's gold and platinum group metals, are dispersed in huge amounts throughout the human body via the connective tissue network? Next slide.
Now, before we go, what does that mean? It's dispersed via the connective tissue network. Elaborate on what exactly the connective tissue network is for those who may not.
Your tendons and ligaments are connective tissue.
Right.
The fascia, you eat
fascia, human fascia. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That stuff connects everything to everything. You got fascia layers around every organ, around the bones, around the cells, around the muscle fibers, everything.
And we got gold all up in there.
Absolutely. In the high spin state, which means there are many wormholes. That means you are already naturally connected to the higher realms.
Damn. Okay.
About to prove it right now. Next slide.
I just put it on. There's a little delay, but I put it up. Do you see it?
Oh,
yet?
yeah, no, yep, it's up.
Okay.
Cutting edge scientific descriptions of the plane of soul. Okay, so that language in the title is language that we use in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Okay. But let's just say the higher realms. All right. Familiarize yourself with these three scientists: David Bohm, Rupert Sheldrake, and Mei Wan Ho. My favorite out of the three is Mei Wan Ho, little old Chinese lady.
Mm-hmm.
They are quantum physicists, quantum biologists. All right? That's what they are. Award-winning. They're not quacks. David Bohm came up with what he called the implicate order, a higher energy design order for everything in 3 dimensions. In other words, we in the classical biology, we're taught, okay, you know, the body repairs itself because it gets its instructions from the DNA. Wrong. Because we know that DNA repairs itself. Where does it get its instructions from?
Consciousness.
Ooh, there we go. Yes. But from where? Right? So the implicate order that David Bohm is speaking of is saying that you have a higher self in a higher dimension. Rupert Sheldrake calls it the morphogenic field, the same as the implicate order, but for living organics.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mei Wan Ho takes it a step further. She calls it the biogenic field, or superconductivity in living systems via. So here we go. The orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements in the connective tissue are in a collagen gel sol state. Do you know what gel sol means in just basic layman's terms? 1s and 0s, people. The matrix screen. That's what it means. It's a binary system. Nature beat the computer experts to it. So consciousness is sourced through a binary computative system that lives literally inside your connective tissues.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. It forms cellular structures and physiology. Now, and it does it at various levels of consciousness. So there's a mineral level of consciousness. Yes. How else would the crystal know to form itself in 6 sides?
You ever heard of Dr. Catherine Clinton?
Absolutely.
She talks about this is why structured water is so important. Structured water is surrounding all of this stuff, of what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, it has a consciousness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's right. Water's a liquid crystal, people. It's programmable, just like a quartz.
Mm.
Yep. Next slide. Oh, hold on. Before we even go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we know, wow, our physical body and its, in the order in which it exists. We got trillions of cells in our body, and they all follow a particular order. So that acts as a unit.
Yes.
All right.
Another quick question. Is this the epigenetics that Bruce Lipton talks about?
Of course it is.
Okay.
Of course it's related to epigenetics. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Again, remember, we're speaking. See, I'm presenting this stuff still from the inner order perspective.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we tying it all together tonight.
Right.
We tying it all from the inner order to the outer order to the internet to YouTube.
Right. There we go.
I love this. Let's go.
So a cell, a single cell, let's say a nerve cell, has its instructions to be a nerve cell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. Now remember what we said about the monoatomic elements. They have a Meissner field around them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that Meissner field can be disrupted or destroyed. It can. So let's say it is. If that Meissner field is broken, then the element reverts back to its ordinary state. But guess what else that means? That means the wormhole is no longer there. That means the instructions are no longer present for the cell.
Wow.
So now you got a cell with no instructions, no order.
Mm-hmm.
So now what's to stop it from thinking it's an organ?
Mm-hmm.
That's called cancer. That's a tumor.
Mm.
All right. Next slide.
Okay. You see it, brother?
Yes, sir. This European, he is the real life Indiana Jones. His name was Sir Flinders Petrie. Sir Flinders Petrie, in 1905, did an expedition in the Sinai Peninsula to a mountain called Sarabit al-Qadim. That is the ancient Mount Horeb. Who's familiar with Mount Horeb? Mount Horeb is the mountain that the biblical Moses went to, right? Where he saw the burning bush. And then later when he was with the children of Israel, leading them away from Egypt, got the quote unquote, the tablets of the testimony or the 10 commandments and all this other stuff, right? And remember in the book of Exodus, if you guys remember, when he was there and the children of Israel were like, oh, he's gone too long, maybe he's dead, Aaron, give us something to worship. Aaron makes a golden calf and they worship the golden calf. Moses comes off the mountain, gets pissed off at them, quote unquote, burns the gold, turns it into a powder, throws it in the water and makes them drink it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? All right. This is what took place, 1905. He discovers an Egyptian temple dedicated to the goddess Hathor, Egyptian goddess Hathor, right? And this temple was first established during the Middle Kingdom. He finds numerous hieroglyphic references to what was called Mifkazit or Shemana or bread or stone. And it was indicated by a hieroglyph that was shaped like a triangle. He also found huge vats of what he initially thought was a fine white ash or powder. This was not ash. They found out later that it was huge quantities of monoatomic gold. This powdered gold was and is the physical philosopher's stone. And this temple was a manufacturing plant for this powdered gold. The very same powder that in the Bible was called manna. The high priest of this temple during the 18th dynasty, his title was in Aramaic El Shaddai, which means biblically Lord of the burning bush or Lord of the mountain. That's what it really means. But it indicated the Lord of the burning bush. Well, the apocryphal book of Jasher, there was the book of Jubilees and the book of Jasher. These are books that Emperor Constantine said, nah, we're not including these in the Bible, right? That's why they're called apocryphal. Well, anyway, the book of Jasher identifies El Shaddai as none other than guess who? Moses' father-in-law, Lord Jethro, the Midian sheik from the plain of Moab, according to Lawrence Gardner, who was the historiographer royale for the Dragon Court of the Knights Templar. The word avod is a Semitic word that means to worship, but in actuality, it means to work or experiment with. Thus, a temple in those days was a laboratory or a workshop, and the priesthood were scientists. All right. The consumption in those days, especially in ancient Egypt, of the stone or bread or the white powdered gold gave recipient conscious access to what's called the field of Mifkazit. In other words, conscious access to the biogenic or the morphogenic field of exotic space. And it was fed to the pharaohs for the purpose of actual deification. Next slide.
Give me a second. Okay.
How's the audience? You all right?
Oh, they loving it. They loving it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
This is the presentation of the year, my brother. Keep it high frequency, brother. Thorough.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Go ahead.
All right. Human consciousness transduction from higher planes into 3D matter. So this is kind of a summary of what we just talked about. You know, high orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements concentrations are in neural tissue, brain, and connective tissue. They facilitate a link between the three-dimensional plane and the higher planes of existence. Connective tissue information conduction is faster than neural or nerve and DNA conduction. See, the Chinese woman, Mei Wanhou, what inspired her on this research was she was watching a championship table ping pong competition. And at one point, they were both in the zone. So the ball was going back, forth, so fast that it finally hit her. Wait a minute. The amount of information being passed that fast is far outpacing the classical biological explanation that the eye sees the ball, sends a message to the brain, sends a message to the spine, sends a message to the hand. No way in the world that it was happening that fast. That's what sparked her research in this field. Right? Gel soul binary state for information transduction. In other words, here we go, people.
Come on.
The right brain is connected to the universe. It knows everything.
Yes. The
left brain is what decides what is useful and what is not. So when you as a toddler had your invisible friend in the corner that you could see and nobody else could see, and you were talking to him, and your parents said, "Oh, yeah, there's nothing in that corner. Come out of that corner, boy. Ain't nothing there. Who you talking to?" And you believe your parents because psychologically you're connected to a psychological umbilical cord until age 5 or age 6.
Mm-hmm.
Your left brain now says, "Oh, that information is not important," and it shuts it down.
Mm.
One of the big purposes of initiation is to break down the constructs built up by the left brain. That's one of the purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Is to break it down and reform it so it can accept more information from the right brain. The purpose of the left brain is to interpret the right brain, not to replace it.
Mm.
All right. Now here's the big one. Remember the little operation you did with Blue Pill?
Yes.
Quantum operator. This is a quantum mechanics term, people. It's a scientific term. It's not a religious term. Conscious input can alter the wave function at the higher realms that collapse into a physical event. Do you know what the quantum operator is, people? Human consciousness, belief. That's what it is. A lot of us nowadays that consider ourselves woke, we say, now we pass belief. I don't believe, I know. Nah, I disagree.
Oh, brother, let me say something real quick.
Go ahead.
You know how much, I'm from Harlem.
Yes, sir.
And on 125th was like all the schools of thought was out there.
Right
and
there.
If you said you believe something, brother, you got to know. You can't believe. Believe is to believe in a lie, brother. You got to throw away that belief. Man, they will make you feel so bad to use that word, brother. Go ahead. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, brother. I listen. Belief, man. Listen. Belief. We have a saying in the Moorish Science of America teaching. We say salvation has 3 steps. The ladder of salvation has 3 steps. Belief is first, and that which man thinks perhaps is true. Next is faith, man, that which man knows is true. And then there's fruition. Man himself has become the truth. So you have to be what you know, in other words. So belief is grossly underrated.
Mm.
I can prove it. Those of you that have significant others, when you first saw that person, right? You know the feeling. It was like, man, I gotta have her. Matter of fact, you ain't even talked that much, did you?
Mm.
You just got busy. You see what I'm saying? See, that's belief. Belief implies action. You get to it.
Mm.
You move. You see what I'm saying?
Deep.
That's how you know someone believes.
Because their actions back it up.
Come on, brother. Ain't no motion, ain't no belief.
Whew.
See? Ain't no motion, ain't no belief. It's not stagnant. Guess what that means about all of us, myself included? In many respects, we haven't even gotten to the stage of belief yet. And that's just the truth. This is something that my Kung Fu instructor said to us. Belief is not a thought that the mind possesses. Belief is a thought that possesses the mind.
Shit, man. Come on.
See?
Sharif, man. Come on, man.
This is
Come
why.
on.
Remember what I said in the beginning of the
Come on,
presentation?
man.
The presentation about our great grandfathers and grandmothers knew some things, but they wasn't gonna tell us directly, right? Like in the Holiness Church,
Yeah.
you know, in the Holy Rollers. In other words, places of religious practice where they practice trance states and ecstatic states of mind. Do you realize that that's ancient technology? That is the shortcut to belief.
Talk to him, man.
That's what it is. It's technology, people.
It's technology.
Yes.
You don't look at it like.
Yes. Music, song, dance, technology. In many ancient cultures, you ask them what a drum is, they tell you it's a spaceship.
We have such a low perception of who we are, opinion of who we are.
Again, the narrative, brother, the European did us dirty.
So I'm loving how you terming it technology, man. This changes the whole game.
It's technology.
It's technology. I love it. I love it.
Yes. The late you all are familiar with Malidoma Some, am I correct?
No, I don't know who's that.
Ooh, you got to know this, brother. He passed away just a few years ago. Malidoma Some was a world famous African spiritualist. Mm-hmm. Europeans loved him. At one point, he was asked to speak at the Vatican.
Wow.
One of my good brothers is an initiate under him. And, you know, during his final year, he was meeting with a group of initiates that were all brown skinned. And he said, you know what? I finally get why I'm here.
Ooh.
And they said, what? They said, I'm supposed to arm you in America with the tools you need for your liberation. He said, you have legions of your forefathers waiting for instructions from you on the other side.
Wow.
That's what he said.
Now,
brother, I can bring the brother who he said it directly to your show.
To start out the show, you talked about the white gentleman who talked about informing the blacks in America, and now you're talking about, wow, man, we got wow.
Yeah. And so then this one sister said this. Listen to this. This is deep. Yeah. Sister said, but some of us pray to our forefathers. Why don't they hear us? You know what Malidoma Some told her?
What?
Said because they don't recognize the voice. You all are bent over like slaves. You got to stand up and use your command voice.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He said they don't recognize
you. Billy Carson always say that. Wow. A brother named Billy Carson always say that.
Yeah, Billy Carson. Yeah. It's real.
Wow.
Yeah, Malidoma Some said that, brother.
Damn,
crazy. But so this is powerful stuff. Next slide.
All right. Oh, okay. Go ahead. You see it?
Yep, got it. What you're looking at, again, the head of the OTOA, Michael Berdio, right? I've been in the order since 2001, October 2001. Michael Berdio asked me to put this together. What you're looking at is a graphic version of the first year course of the Monastery of the Seven Rays in the form of a 16-card tarot deck. That is what you're looking at.
Why it's a tarot deck?
That's another show. Yeah, because tarot is an invention of our forefathers in Spain. In Spain, people, African Islamic ruled Spain, to explain and illustrate principles of what the Hebrews call Kabbalah.
Ooh.
It's true.
Ooh.
It's the truth. So this is a visual version of that first year course. Many of us learn that way. Some of us learn mathematically. Some of us learn visually or spatially.
Yeah.
See? Some of us learn that way. Next slide. So this, yeah, we're near the end. This is the next to the last slide. So in conclusion, we have a saying. We say in the More Science Temple of America, we come to Allah through ceremonies and forms. Our physical flesh is a form. We don't discount the flesh. We don't believe, like the Christians, that flesh is sinful. We don't do that. Okay? The flesh is the launch pad. The carnal nature is the fuel. Human suffering is the motivation. We are perfected by what we suffer, people. We're perfected by it. The body, here we go. Let me give a quick example. I use the whole thing about weightlifting. Let's say there's a group of 4 of you lifting weights on the bench press, right? All of them are strong, but all of them out of the 4, you're the weakest. Question: who's going to improve the quickest in that group? The weakest. The weakest. The weakest is going to improve quicker. Why? Because he has to catch up. They're not going to change the weights all the time. Get it?
Yeah, right.
But that also means he's going to suffer the most. There we go back to that thing about eating our demons, changing our perspective.
Right.
See? Change our perspective. That's it.
Right.
Humanity's progress is slow as a collective because we've been taught to run away from our demons. We've been taught to run away. Here's the secret Hebrew teaching on Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, in the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This is the secret teaching. I'm revealing it. The words good and evil are mistranslated from the original Aramaic words tov and ra. Shout out to my brother Zion Lex. That's my brother, right? The word tov doesn't mean good, and the word ra doesn't mean evil. Tov means this: to stabilize, to make stable, to make stagnant. Ra doesn't mean evil. It means to unsettle, to stir up, to cause motion. Now remember, thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. Ease causes retardation and stagnation. So you tell me which one was good and which one is evil. See? So the whole world has been jacked up. We've been trained and socialized into running away from the very thing that will elevate us into godhood. See? The body is the microcosm of the universe. We all heard that before. The body is a material reflection of the divine reality. The royal art, or the authentic tradition, in other words, true esotericism, true mysticism, true occultism, maps the pathways of consciousness from the micro to the macro. But our objective is not to go from the micro to the macro. No. Our objective, brothers and sisters, is to erase the border between micro and macro. Next slide.
Okay.
And this is our conclusion, people. We are done. Any questions?
Indeed. No, yeah, indeed. What I want to ask you, I real quick before you text me earlier.
Yes, sir.
You said you had some slides on some cutting edge research, including the CIA on Atlantis, and they located it at the Rakat structure.
Oh, the reshot. Yeah, the reshot structure.
Yeah.
Oh man. You know what, brother? You know what? I could do that in the part 2 about that. But I could talk about it real quick.
Yeah. So what is this cutting edge research that the CIA has on Atlantis?
Well, first and foremost, back in the 50s, the CIA ran a series of operations at the reshot structure.
Right, right.
And it was supposed to be declassified, but those are in the 50s, and it's still not declassified. They don't want to talk about it. Right now, the reshot structure, if you look it up, people, RICHAT, the reshot structure is called the Eye of Africa. Why? Because it sits in Mauritania.
Wow.
And among other things, I mean, there's so many things, but among other things, it has the exact morphology of what Plato described in his account that Solon, the Egyptian priest, told him of the concentric circles divided by bodies of water with mountains on the north and water on the south. Man, satellite pictures of that area to this day show the massive salt deposits that came in from the Atlantic. It shows the flooding. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow.
You hear me? Crazy. So, and remember, and it said that the Atlas Mountains, you know, were at the north.
Yeah.
Well, you know what that is, right? The Atlas Mountains are there. Right? Atlas Mountains are there. The Rock of Gibraltar's there. It's like, it's just this, it's crazy. It's crazy. But also, too, another thing to remember, Atlantis was a kingdom. It wasn't just one little city. So there were outposts. There were other cities as well, right? And now people say, oh, well, you know, that didn't, you know, they can't really prove Atlantis existed. Remember what we said about narrative. Narrative. Here we go. Like, the fact that you have people, the guy's name is Crema, and then also, too, you know, the brother with forbidden, the fact that you have what's called forbidden archaeology. The fact that you have the so-called ancient alien theory. Why? Those are ways that the Euro-West are trying to explain certain things that don't fit their narrative and still try to hold on to their narrative. It's the same thing that Charles Seligman, the European Charles Seligman, did when they saw pyramids and they saw in Zimbabwe the Great Wall and all this other high-tech stuff. At the same time, they're saying Negroes are incapable of civilization. They had to come up with something. Right. So what did they say? Oh, Egypt's not a part of Africa. It's a mythical part of what we call the Middle East. Oh, those are not Africans. Those are Eurafricans. Those are dark-skinned Caucasians. Those are not, you see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
All right. So it's the same thing. The narrative is wrong. The European measures time in a straight line.
Indeed.
We measure time in a circle. So what you're seeing with human evidence, archaeological evidence of human beings, millions and millions and millions and millions of years old, and other things, you're seeing archaeological evidence of a previous cycle. Where we are in technology today, we've been here many times before.
Right, right.
Guess what else this also addresses? The so-called alien question. Shout out to my brother and comrade, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. That's my guy.
Dr. Wesley.
Yeah, he and I are pretty close. So, but his recent work, powerful work, because he's exposing one of the biggest secrets that's part of the above top secret community. That the so-called aliens, most of them, are old psycho-humans. Original man. The technology is homegrown, not from some other planet.
Right.
But now think about it. If you've got technology that high that existed 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 years ago, you think those people didn't explore the stars already? You have to ask yourself this question. These so-called aliens with all this advanced technology, what's so important about Earth?
I always ask that. I keep asking that to everybody. I'm like, what the hell they keep what messing with us for? They so advanced.
Answer, this is home.
This is home.
This is home.
Home to who?
Them.
To them.
This is home. That's right. Elijah was right. That's why in the 1930s, when the FBI raided one of the temples and he was drawing the mothership and then the 1,200 smaller planes and all this other stuff, they didn't take pictures of the chalkboard. They took the whole chalkboard.
Yeah, ain't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a talk with Wesley. I'm talking to the brother on the phone. I said, listen, I got a huge role down here right now in terms of all this alien stuff, this talk. And I
Yeah.
told him, I said, brother, I will never leave the Nation of Islam out of this conversation. So I
Can't.
said, you gotta come on my show. I said, I'm talking to everybody about this. I said, I can't. I know the people gonna get mad because when they hear about Islam, they start thinking about religion and
I know.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, brother, I'm not gonna leave you out of this conversation. He came on my show several times.
I
Since
saw.
then, he had, you see it, right? The Black Anunnaki book, and he has another book. I forgot the other one. I'm gonna show it before the show's out. But yeah, shout out to that brother right there. Let me ask you this, brother. Me and you, we talked on the phone about reasons why the Moorish Empire possibly fell.
Absolutely.
A lot of people wonder why, if we had so much going on, why did we end up where we're at today? Let's go back to Atlantis. Was the same bullshit they was doing in during the Moorish Empire? Were we doing that in Atlantis also? Is that why we fell? Or
follow me, right? Yeah. I'm glad you asked that question, right? Yeah. I always kind of want to go back to principles because principles shape the path of consciousness. All right. In the West, we tend to think squarely. In the East, we think like this. So there's a statement, there's a phrase or a saying that fits the circle. Here we go. Hard times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Good times create weak, lazy people. Lazy people create bad times. And the cycle goes on.
Wow.
See?
Yeah.
That's what happened in Atlantis, previous cycle. Degradation. And then things start over. That's what happens. Now you've got big cycles, you got small cycles, right? Get this book.
Let me hold up. All right.
The Dogs of God, Columbus, the Inquisition, and the Defeat of the Moors by James Reston Jr. That's just one book. I mean, there's a whole bunch you can get.
Yeah.
But that book, let me tell you, this European, like, he paints the picture. Do you know what's in the year 1477, right? Do you know what the talk was in Spain? Now, let me paint the picture, people. Hold on.
Please do, yeah.
Spain is Europe. Spain was ruled from 711 AD to 1492 by an African Islamic diasporic power. And that's world history. Like it or not. It's world history, right? It gets better. According to Dr. Ben, according to Ivan Van Sertima, according to Dana Marnici, a couple of other researchers. Here we go. The first African slaves brought to the Americas didn't come from the African continent. They came from Spain. That's where they came from. They expelled Africans in 1492 from Granada. True. Now, oh man, I lost my point. But what began to, oh yeah, that's what I was saying. So there's bigger cycles and there's smaller cycles, right? But there's still cycles. So there's rise and fall of nations. Those are smaller cycles, right? We reached a peak in Europe, specifically in Spain. Guess what we started doing? We got arrogant. We got on some who can check us type thing. We started fighting amongst ourselves. Look up a period in history called the Reconquista. The Reconquista is the period where pale Europeans were fighting to regain control of Spain. When Ferdinand and Isabella married, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Ferdinand of the Kingdom of Aragon, Isabella, the Kingdom of Castile. Those two kingdoms united to create the first modern nation state in the world. That was Spain. The whole purpose was to kick us up out of there.
Mhm.
That was the purpose. Do you know what Europeans called the marriage of Ferdinand and Isabella in the 1400s? You know what they called it?
You told me what? Tell the
The
people.
second coming of Christ.
That's wow.
Ain't that crazy?
Wow.
Ain't that crazy? Now, when we fell, do you know what we called it?
What?
The end of the world.
Mm.
Do you realize that in this present day, right? The prophet Isaiah said in the Old Testament, behold, the sins of the father are visited upon the children, even to the third and fourth generations, right?
Mm.
We're still carrying genetically via epigenetics the shock of that loss. We're still carrying it. Do you know that lynching culture in America is a direct extension of the Spanish Inquisition?
Mm.
It is. It is. The Spanish Inquisition was put in place to literally terrorize our way of thinking out of all of Europe and especially us. It is the reason why many of us today think that the eye over the pyramid is demonic. That Spanish Inquisition is thinking. Those were the accusations placed on our forefathers.
Right.
Yeah. We're still afflicted by a lot of this stuff.
What just real quick, can we talk real quick about we were talking on the phone about the secret order in Tucson Louverture.
Order of the Black Snake.
Yeah, tell me about, because I told you on the phone, I was like, we're in the year of the dragon, everybody's talking all this dragon talk. You telling me Tucson from Haiti had an order called the Order of the Black Snake? I didn't know this, and I know a lot of people don't know about this order, and it was a magical order.
Absolutely, it's a magical order. Well, let me be very specific. Our brother Hector Francois Germain preserved the old order of Tucson Louverture, and he gave it the name the Order of the Black Snake. That's more accurate.
Okay.
But we carry the old tradition. It's old voodoo tradition, a voodoo tradition. Now, this is well known. The Haitian Revolution began in the woods with a ritual. That's how it began, bro. And ended with what? These dark-skinned brothers and sisters defeated a European superpower, France.
Now, where did they get it from? Because it's in Haiti. It made its way to America. Where did Haiti get it from? Like, let's trace this back. This magical system. Let's trace it back. Where did it come from?
West Africa, brother. From West Africa to the Caribbean. Familiarize yourself with a researcher by the name of Professor Sultana Afroz. AFROZ, that sister. A big part of her focus in her studies is the time period we're talking about. Not 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia, 100 years prior in the Caribbean. See what I'm saying? That time period, okay? So where a lot of that old world history was still intact amongst our people. We had not lost our old world connection.
Right.
So, for instance, let's take Epha. Epha is an old pre-Muhammadan tradition that Islam took and advanced and encouraged the advancement of. And it reached a high level, especially in West Africa, especially with our brothers and sisters in Mali, the Dogon tribe. Okay? So whenever you, like, for instance, in the Caribbean, our Latino brothers that practice Santeria, right? Anytime you see, like, for instance, the Orisha, how many? 7 of them. You see that? You see, that's practiced also in Vodun, same thing, right? The Loa, all these things, those are throwbacks to that tradition. That West African tradition, Epha, is actually older. That's connected to ancient Egypt.
Epha.
Yes.
Epha. Okay.
That's connected to ancient Egypt. So, a lot of times when we talk about Egypt and its connection to West Africa, what we're looking for is costume familiarity. Does it look like ancient Egyptians? You see what I'm saying? Like, for instance, you want to see Egyptian technology? Go to Spain and look at the Alhambra and the construction of the Alhambra. Shout out to brother George G.M. James, who lost his life for writing that book, Stolen Legacy, where he said, yes, there were waves of migrations from Egypt to North Africa and what's now called present-day Morocco. So that's why he said the Moors are the custodians of ancient Egyptian culture and technology. That's why he lost his life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. I remember Bobby Hemmett. He's the one that encouraged me to buy that book. Amazing book. I would definitely recommend everybody to get that book, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James.
Yes. But now I want to say this: the Epha tradition goes back, according to especially esoteric researchers.
Yeah,
it goes back to the Atlantean times, the previous cycle. It's old. It's that old.
Okay.
Yeah, it's old. It's old.
So let's do a few questions before we get out of here. Family, I what did I tell y'all about tonight's show? I told y'all, you was talking about the science of the heart earlier, right?
Yes,
you
sir.
was talking about belief.
Yes.
I knew what this was going to be tonight. I knew it. And let me give a shout out, because I seen you originally on Red Pill Show last year, but I don't know the name of the brother. It just popped up on my computer last week. I want to give his platform a shout out, because a lot of time.
Sheik 7. It's called Let's Think Podcast.
Yeah, just want to give a shout out, because sometimes people see things from podcasts and they don't give him a shout out. I want to give the brother a shout out for because you being on his channel is what brought you here today. So
there was two of them in particular: Let's Think Podcast and New York Perspective Podcast. Those two.
I think it was Let's Think Podcast.
Let's Think. Yep. Let's think.
That one. But shout out to that brother. I want to give a shout out to that brother as well for the work that he's putting in. And go check out his podcast. Let me ask you this, brothers. We talk so much about quantum physics today. We talked about magic. We talked about consciousness. We talked about energy. We talked about epigenetics. We talked about scalar technology. So much. I like to always, when I talk to my guests, I like to always give real life examples and have the guests explain it from a scientific quantum perspective, and it allows the people it allows the information to be relatable with the people, and they could digest it at a fast pace. So let me use this as an example. Now, we all know, let's say we're in the gym, Sharif, and we're by ourselves, and we're in the gym, and we can't do we could barely do a set of 100 push-ups. We get a gym partner, boom. Now we feeding off each other's energy. Now we could do 100 push-ups. My question to you, brother, now the person's there, that energy and interaction is there. What I notice is, if there was one time, it's some bugged out shit, but I asked out of this world questions sometime. I noticed one time, Sharif, I'm in front of a mirror. You ever seen The Last Dragon? When when there's like multiple mirrors, it's like 10 mirrors.
Yes.
I do push-ups. Now, me doing push-ups in front of the 10 versions of me in the mirror felt like I had 10 motherfuckers in the room, and I was going crazy with the push-ups. Now, tell me about, was that the equivalent to having 10 people in the room, having 10 reflections of myself, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm working out now. Let's talk about
you ready? That's so crazy, bro.
Yes.
See, a lot of quote unquote magical techniques are tricks to trick our consciousness into the proper perspective.
Love it.
Okay. Now, follow me. This is going to be exciting, but it's also going to be spooky.
Yes,
we learned this in grade school. Right? We learn about colors. So we say, okay, this is red. Yes. What makes it red? Answer, we learned this in grade school. Oh, well, it's made of a substance that absorbs every other spectrum except red and reflects that back to our eye. Okay. Then what happens? Does it reflect red back to our eye? Does it reflect a vibration? It reflects a vibration. Eye picks it up. The optic nerve then transfers it to the brain, and the brain interprets it. So guess what? Guess what that means, people? You ready? I hope you're sitting down.
Ready.
It's only red in here. It's not red out there. It's only red in here.
Shit.
The outside world literally is your projected consciousness, your projected perception. So if I can trick the perception to shift, reality shifted, just like that.
And I thought that it was like I tricked my consciousness to think there was 10 people there, and I'm feeding off the yo. That's a yo.
real.
You got this is man. Listen, man. We got to get back to this technology, yo. We got to understand who we are, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh
sir.
man, let me get some questions from the family.
Sure.
Okay, one more before I get to the people.
Sure.
You talked a lot about the monatomic gold, the gold powder, and I know a lot of people today take the liquid gold. How
Be careful. Be careful. I mean, you know, first of all, it's going to be very difficult to vet your sources.
Yeah.
I have a source that, you know, I'm because of some of my connections with secret orders. I have connections with people that are part of secret special access programs, and I'm connected. As a matter of fact, I've interviewed a few of them. So, you know, that's where I got my source.
I need to connect with you on that.
I got you.
What I want to ask real quick is the colloidal silver. Do you recommend that as well? No,
I do recommend colloidal silver, but it's not anything close to monoatomic. Okay. Colloidal silver colloids, right? Yeah. It's a molecule. It's way bigger than, you know, and it's not changed.
Yeah.
It's not. There is such thing as monoatomic silver. There is, but colloidal silver is not monoatomic silver. But on another note, listen, stock up on that.
Right.
Stock up on colloidal silver. That stuff kills everything. Okay. Yeah. It provides a bacteria and microbe-free environment. That is where back in the old days in Spain came the custom of throwing silver coins into wells.
Oh, okay. Wow. Got you.
Kill the germs.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
All right, let's get to some Q&A. We're going to do a quick Q&A about 15 minutes from the family before we get out of here.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Wow. Wow, what a show. Presentation of the year. Tell me what y'all think in the chat. But listen, let's all right. So a lot of people are asking, they want to know what's your thoughts on the eclipse, your perspective on the eclipse. What's your thoughts on that, my brother?
Oh, wow. Man. First thing, don't get spooked out.
Right.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself. You know, don't get spooked out. What I suggest, this something very simple but very powerful. This is what I suggest, right? I'll give you guys this. On the day of the eclipse, if you are able, you know, not working or whatever, on that day during that period, about 15 minutes before the event begins, sit somewhere, okay, and establish what we call a baseline. Ask yourself, how are you feeling physically? How are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling energetically? Do you feel sluggish? Ask those 3 questions and write down the answers. Okay? Write down the answers. How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling mentally and emotionally? How are you feeling energetically? Write them down. Even if it's silly, it doesn't matter. Write it down, right? And then just sit silently. Just sit silently through the event. After the event, do the same thing again. Okay? What are you doing? You are using human consciousness as the measuring stick of the event. Your own human consciousness. See? Write that down and note the difference. The difference is your data. See? Now you're the book. Now you're the research paper. You see what I'm saying? That's it. That's it. And then other people who may have done it as well or something similar, compare notes. Compare notes. Okay? Compare notes. What I just explained to you is this is work that we do in the inner orders.
Right.
You have to learn to, just like riding a bike or just something else, you have to learn to practice with human consciousness as the instrument. Learn to practice with human consciousness as the measuring stick. You have to grow it. You have to develop it.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest to do.
Right,
because guess what? Listen, I could read this book, or I could pull up this chart, or I could, I read charts, by the way, right? Astrological charts. We could do all of that. That's cool. And I can tell you what I see. I can't tell you what you feel. See, there's another thing we say in some of the orders. Seeing is believing, but feeling is the truth.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. In what regions of the U.S. are the reincarnated Atlanteans incarnated in?
Oh, that's a great question. All over.
Mm-hmm.
All over the country. But, right, the author of the book, Voodoo Gnostic Workbook and the Hierophant of the Order, moved to the south side of Chicago. That should tell you something.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Moved to the south side of Chicago. And he moved there so that they could broadcast. I'll quote him. He said so that they could do temple work in that area, because that is where, in the region, the Midwest region, right? From the Midwest region out, it's the center of the country. It's the center of the continent.
Mm-hmm.
See? It's fairly evenly spaced, because so that it would attract the incoming souls looking to continue their work.
Yo, Sharif, somebody said this brother has Vatican basement level information. Yo, you got access to the Vatican, brother?
Nah, I ain't got
that's how you got this information. Yo, they say you so deep.
But I will say this, dear brother. I will say this. My good brother, the late Malidoma Some, look him up, people, by the way. Please look up his work. He did a book called Ritual. Small book, doesn't cost a lot. The book's incredible. Right? Okay. The book's incredible. He's from Burkina Faso, the Dagara tribe. That's where he's from. When he got invited to speak at the Vatican, he got invited by the Vatican. Right?
Yeah.
And he was telling us when he got done speaking, I said, what happened? He goes, nothing. He goes, it was dead quiet. Nobody said a thing. I said, why do you think that was? He said, well, first, I said, well, why did they bring you? He said, I think they brought me to see if I was the real deal. He said, why do you think they were silent? He goes, because they found out that I was the real deal. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's get to this next question. What about the Gullah Geechee wars that happened here in America before the Haitian Revolution?
Beautiful. I want you to look up, and again, I get a lot of people may have, issues with the whole religious thing, but even the way we look at religion has been Europeanized. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to answer that directly. That's a great question, right? We all have family and friends that have never been to church, ain't going to church. But if you told them that there was no such thing as heaven or hell after you die, they want to fight you, right? That makes them cultural Christians, get it? So when we say Islam in the medieval period, Islam with our forefathers, we're talking about a worldview, how we saw the world. It wasn't, oh, you go to Juma on Friday, or no. We're talking a worldview. You see what I'm saying? That's what we mean by that. Okay, so I just had to get that out the way. So the Gullah, you'll see with the Gullah and the Geechee wars, it's just been suppressed to a degree, but it's there. It was an Islamic undertone. The vast majority of the quote unquote slave rebellions and things like that took place in here, some people with some Islamic background had a hand in it. You see what I'm saying? Again, remember, people, the vital nerve is the vital nerve. If we fighting and I punch you in your face and you smile at me, guess what that tells me? Don't punch him in the face. But if I punch you in the liver with that left hook and you go, oh, I know where to get you now, right? Islam, and I'm not talking about Saudi Arabianism either. Islam and our people together is the vital nerve. Believe it. That's the vital nerve, people. I'm telling you. It's the vital nerve. But the other Gullah and the Geechee wars, okay, here it is. Here's the answer. When we fell, our last stronghold in 1492 in Granada, in Spain, the other outposts and locations, including the Americas. Remember, people, put some perspective. Spain colonized America a full 100 plus years before the English or anyone else. And we ruled Spain for nearly 800 years. Who else you think was here? See?
Indeed.
So what you're looking at with the Gullah Geechee Wars and some of the other conflicts that happened in the Caribbean, because there were many, what you're looking at is intermittent conflicts that took place after the major one.
After the major
People
one.
were still fighting.
Okay, next question. So why not embrace Epha rather than being a Muslim? Would you say it's better or to each its own?
Because we don't gangbang and our forefathers didn't gangbang. Epha thrived under Islamic rule. So there were people that practiced Epha and they were Muslims. Like Jesus of 2,000 years ago. Follow me, people. He was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites. Now, before I go any further, we know that the ancient Canaan is in today's present Southern Arabia or Yemen. But our good brother, Dr. Smalls, right, on Sonetta, shout out to Sonetta, on Sonetta's show a long time ago, he said it flat out, what we all know, that West Africans are descendants of ancient Canaanites. Many of them still call themselves Beni Kanana on the West African on West African coast. Beni Kanana meaning son of Canaan. There's the relationship, people. It was the European that said West Africans are monolithic and they're not connected to any other African peoples. That's nonsense. That's birthright stealing. You see what I'm saying? That is. So we don't gangbang. Jesus 2,000 years ago, Canaanite blood, house of David, tribe-wise, or the tribe of Judah, right? Royal bloodline of David, and a Roman citizen all at the same time. Come on, man.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. Why only us here, because of our miseducation, do we say, oh, I'm a Moor. Oh, well, I'm a Hebrew. Oh, well, I'm a...
You could be all of that.
Games. Yeah, we don't play those games. Yeah, we don't gangbang. Don't. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. Next question. They want to know the ritual book, the author of the ritual book you was talking about.
Ritual book. Which ritual book?
I got to go back. We done talked about so many books.
Yeah, lie.
If y'all could elaborate on that, let me know.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, please elaborate on that.
Somebody wants to know, is beekeeping an ancient Moorish practice?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Look up. I want you all to look up a man named, his nickname was Al-Zuryab, Ziryab. You can Google it right now. Al-Zuryab. Al-Zuryab was born in the area of what's now called Baghdad.
Right.
Okay. He, in Spain, right, created, listen to this, the 4-course meal of appetizer, salad, main course, dessert. He did. He introduced drinking out of crystal instead of metal goblets. He introduced the playing of music and the wearing of linen to dinner. He did. You know what the word Al-Zuryab means? That was his nickname, the Blackbird.
Come on, brother. There you go.
A lot of what we think comes from Pale Europeans came from us. It's the truth.
All right. Let's do one more question before we get out of here. Yeah, the chat's been moving tonight. I know I missed some of y'all. But okay. Let me see. Have you had any spiritual experiences using Islamic practices?
I belong to an old pre-Muhammadan Islamic order called the Order of Al-Hashashin. You all have heard of it, I'm pretty sure, right? It's still very secret. The Order of the Assassins. That's what it is, right? The short answer to that is yes. one of the bigger differences between the authentic Eastern orders and Western orders, right? The Western orders, if I were to be critical about it, have too much subjectivity. Too much. The Eastern orders, our forefathers were not playing that. You understand? They were not playing that. It's literally mathematics is Islam and Islam is mathematics. Let's make it real simple, right? I'm trying to call Brother Rich on the phone. If I'm one number off, do I get Brother Rich? No. Do I get somebody? Yeah. See my point? Yeah. So our practices in the order of Al-Hashashim are being operators, people. So let's say we're working with a particular spirit or entity, right?
Yeah.
That's not enough for us. An entity is still a manifestation.
Right.
See that? So we know that a manifestation is made up of triangulation of 3 different elements. So we work with the elements that make up the manifestation. We're operators.
Quantum operators.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so somebody elaborated. Wait, hold on. See this chat, man. Y'all moving so okay. When you was talking about the Richard book, they said the brother that went to the Vatican.
Oh, that book.
The brother that was invited to the Vatican. That's it.
Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can. I know I got it somewhere. Over here somewhere. You can Google it. Google Ritual by Mala Doma. Here we go. There it is. Ritual, Power, Healing, and Community by Maladoma Patrice Some. That's the book.
Man, you listen, brother. You done made so many people money tonight on books, brother. they need to send you a check, brother. they need to send you a
the thing though is that I want, we could read a whole lot of stuff, but relative to where we want to be and relative to where your audience, your audience, they need to know specific things. It's not just a whole bunch. You just want to know the right things.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? And I've been fortunate, right? And the fortune is lost on me if I don't share it.
Indeed.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's lost. Like that one book by Duncan Laurie. Please get that book, The Secret Art. People, please it's gonna change your life.
That's the book on radionics.
That's the book.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna order that one tonight.
Man, listen,
man, Sharif, man. Before we got almost 2,000 people in here, I want you to leave all your contact information before people, they leave at the end of the show. Let them know how they could contact you because they're gonna hit you up. Oh, they're gonna your phone ain't gonna stop ringing, your email ain't gonna stop going on, brother. They're gonna come after you. Give them all your contact information, brother. The best way to reach you, brother.
Sure. First, I thank you. Thank you for having me on, brother. I'm eternally grateful. And again, and I have to say this, this ain't for me. It helps, but it's not for me. I'm a part of something bigger. You see, and I'm not talking about the secret orders, to be totally honest with you. That's part of it, sure. But I'm a part of something bigger. I'm part of a movement that started in America for our people. That's the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of misconceptions about it, right? We're here to dispel all that nonsense. We're for our people. We're not trying to separate ourselves and say we're better than everybody else. We don't do that. We don't do that. Anyway, that said, I can be found on Facebook. You find me as Sharif Anael Bey. Find me on the gram. Same thing, Sharif Anael Bey, or under Sifu Sharif on TikTok as well. Those are the three. Those three. You can see my website, my professional website for my martial arts business is syracusefighting.com. That's it.
Okay. And do you have are you on YouTube? Did you say that already?
Yes, I'm on YouTube. You can find me under Sifu Sharif or Sharif Anael Bey. You can find me that. Yeah, either one.
All right, family. Well, there it is. I told y'all what was going down tonight. I want to thank my heart. I want to thank my heart for communicating with me
Yes, sir.
I think you talked about this on the show, neuropeptides.
Oh, yes.
So who said, let me ask you this, Sharif.
Yes.
Now, does the heart send more neuropeptides to the brain, or does the brain send more neuropeptides to the heart?
Here's what's cool about neuropeptides, people.
Yeah.
Classical classical explanation, biological explanation. Neuropeptides are in cerebrospinal fluid, in and around the brain, and in the spinal column, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? Neuropeptides are found in every part of the body, and they can't figure out how it breaks the brain-blood barrier. They can't figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
It's in connective tissue, right? That means consciousness is in every part of your body.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for those who may not know, what is neuropeptides? For those who may not.
So neuropeptide is a protein, right? That facilitates neural communication. What in the world is that doing around red blood cells? What in the world is that doing in connective tissue? What you see? It goes against what we've been traditionally taught.
Yeah.
The body is fearfully and wonderfully made, people.
So, brother, when the brothers get caught cheating, they be like, my dick got a mind of its own. They ain't lying, huh?
Brother, let me tell you what,
there's neural activity down there.
Brother, listen, let me share the story that's kind of hilarious along those lines. Yeah. Oh my goodness. He passed away. One of my good brother Theodore Perry. Yeah. We were in his apartment, working on some music. This is a long time ago. And he was talking about, he was like, yeah, man, I had so-and-so over, because, wifey, she's out of town. She'll be back in town a little bit later. But yeah, man. In other words, he was on some more like, got away clean type thing, right? Yeah. Listen, no lie. She walked in, hey, Sharif, how you doing? Hey, kissed him on the cheek, went straight to the kitchen, looked at the clock and said, why is the clock crooked? Who you had in the house? Oh, my God. Man. Just that quick, bro.
That fast.
Just that fast.
Damn.
Just that fast. It was crazy.
Man, oh, man. Oh, man. Well, hey, listen, man. There's a lot to talk about that we're going to catch up on and communicate with the people. Yes. So many great books you brought to us tonight. Shout out to all of the authors of those books. Yes. And we just gonna keep this information flowing, and we're gonna fulfill our roles down here in this realm at this time. Yes. Thank you. We still got almost 2,000 people. Thank you for everybody in the chat listening. Wow. The brother, I'm gonna have the brother back. I'm gonna have the brother back soon because we got a lot of work to do. So I'm gonna have the brother back soon. And stay tuned, man. Sharif, I'm gonna talk to you on the phone soon, my brother. But thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for taking this serious, putting together that presentation and doing your thing, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Yes, sir. All right, peace, brother. Take care.
Peace.
All right. Peace, family. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.